All right, this is a very special day. I got a special delivery today. Alexa, turn on workshop light. This is a Carvera, which just came off of a delivery truck here in Shanghai, China. And I am going to unpack this thing and set it up in my workshop here in that space right over there. Pretty easy series of little tabs on the box here that need to be bent up in line with the little holes, the slots there. All right, got all those tabs lifted up, and inside the box, nice heavy foam covering. And inside of there, now I think I was actually meant to do this from the bottom up. I'm not sure. I did briefly read the PDF instructions that the Makera team sent me about this, and I'm pretty sure it even says on the outside of the box, open here, which of course in my excitement I ignored, so now I'm going to open the bottom of this box instead of the top. There is a sort of method to this, which is that to get the screwdriver under the tab, you first bend out this lip here a bit, and that will move the tab. And then you put a flathead in there and bend that down like so. You want it in line with the outside of this so it'll slide off. Alright, once all of those tabs have been wiggled loose of the base, this box lifts up. So far only took a flathead screwdriver to wiggle all that out. So I can now pull this off the top, and there she is. That box lid lifted off very easily, and looks like there was no damage done during the delivery, so that's good news. There's some instruction manuals and I think sample materials and other things that are packed in there with it. So I'm going to get the bag off and try to get this lifted into the spot I've created over here for it. So included on top of the machine there was a packet. It contains some Kickstarter backer sticker type things. It's also got some of the sample materials, and I believe that's UV film if you're doing printed circuit board stuff, but I'm not 100% sure about that because that's not my main hobby. Also included are two printed guides. One is the instruction manual, and the other one is some example projects to kind of get you up to speed on using the machine. I've looked at both of these in PDF format already, so I kind of know what the general guideline is in there for setting everything up, but I'm still going to have a quick look at that. There was one of the warnings in here that made me laugh out loud because it's a safety warning. And it tells you that you should follow all of the safety precautions so to avoid casualties. And we certainly do not want any unnecessary casualties while setting up our CNC machine or using it. So they do give a proper guide to unpacking the machine here in the guidebook. These are very nicely printed, and they're very nicely edited and illustrated. They do clearly state to do not what I did, which is I took the top off the box, but it didn't hurt anything. They tell you to go at it from the bottom of the box and to take these bits and pieces out of there. And then there's some screws, fixing screws and whatnot that need to be removed. Those were to protect the device while it was in transit. So I'm going to get this thing lifted out of that bag, off that crate. Now they want you to do this possibly with two people because this thing weighs 50 kg, but I don't have the benefit of a shop assistant, so I'm just going to have to kind of grunt it over there. But I'll get the stuff that's packed inside here. I'll get that out first because that's another 10 or 20 kg of stuff in there. Okay, well I got the cover lid opened, and you can see there's some stuff packed in here, and it's safety strapped in to keep it from moving around during transit. So I'm going to need to clip those straps. Let's come over here and get a little clipper business. We're going to need to clip these. Hey, that's satisfying. There we go. And Josh told me that at Makera, the founder, he told me that I'm actually the first person to officially take delivery of one of these things. So it seems I may be the first person to be going through the unpacking process. And of course I'm doing it probably all wrong. I'm sure Josh and the team will watch this and say, why did you do it like that? But anyway, all right, so that's out of there. This is power cables, USB cables. This is accessories, a little silica gel thing going on there. There is some stuff in the second box related to PCB milling, so some PCB boards, UV cured lamp, and then there's another third box there with some general tools in it, such as screwdrivers. Also got clamps, and so I think that's the clamping kit when you want to secure stuff to the work surface. And then it looks like there is a box on the bottom there of sample materials, including sand block, some epoxy tooling board, acrylic plate, even some aluminum plate in there. Nice. One thing to note, as I've unpacked this, I've taken delivery of 3D printers and other types of shop hardware in the past. Interesting to see that it looks like they may have custom built these clamps to hold those straps, to hold the things inside the machine. So this is a very sturdy way of holding everything inside of the box during transit. That stuff was really in there, and it wasn't going to shift around during transit.
All right.
There's no other machine. This is the only one.
Okay.
So I had a go at trying to put it on the table by myself, but it's too bulky. It's not that it's so heavy, but it's too bulky. So then I got this strongman to come here, and she's gonna help me to pick it up and put it on the table. All right. Well, with the help of my handy assistant, who also happens to double as my lovely wife, I was able to get this onto the workbench here. You may note that there is a shelf that kind of interferes with it opening. I'm going to probably end up rearranging that a little bit. The unpacking process was good. They did use very good and very sturdy packing materials, and I think anybody who's receiving this overseas should find that everything arrives in good condition. Next step for me will be tomorrow to get the software and to get everything set up and running. All right, it is the next day, and as you can see, I have managed to get the Carvera desktop CNC machine onto a desktop. I had to remove a shelf from the wall of my workshop here in order for this dust cover to open and close properly, but that is now sorted, and so I'm continuing on through the steps included in the handy dandy installation unpacking guide provided by the guys at Makera. I have unpacked everything and am now going to go on to the part where some fixing structures that are inside are removed. These were the metal components that I noted when I was unpacking, which they had tied the zip ties to, and was holding all the pieces in here rather securely. There's also some bits of tape that need to come out, and this is a fixing structure that needs to be removed. So I'm going to have at that now. Now to this point, the only tool that I required was a screwdriver, which I used a flathead small screwdriver from this set in order to pry open the box, and I also used a razor knife to cut the plastic away. But I'm now going to dig into the tools that were supplied as a part of the kit. These guys send everything, apparently. You do not need to purchase anything additional to get this machine up and running. So I'm going to dig into box number 3 because they do have screwdrivers in here, and we'll see if what's included inside of this is enough to get these fixing plates removed from the machine. So this is the toolkit that they supply. This has the fixtures for holding materials down to the work surface, but it also has a tool, a 3mm hex, which it so happens is the same size as the fixtures that were used during shipping. So these just pop right in there, and we can use that to undo these fixtures and get everything inside the machine here moving and start it up. All right, well, according to the guide here, I had some fixing screws and fixtures in 3 locations, plus a bit of tape that was holding the dust bin here. So the dust bin is free, and the fixtures have all been removed from inside the work area there. This is all very high quality stuff. I've purchased, as I said, a number of 3D printers and other types of machines for my workshop here in the past, and it's rare that you see the fixture built out of metal and supplied with relatively high grade nuts and bolts like that. So yeah, really well done in terms of packing and sending this out. Now, as I said, the parts list that's included in these boxes that are sent along inside the machine, there's a lot that this machine comes with. 2 different types of safety goggles. One is just regular safety eye protection. The other one is laser goggles. There's emergency stop buttons included, a manual tool setter, dust filters, cables, a pad holder, which we're going to end up mounting on the side of the machine here. A 4th axis is included out of the box, which they had previously shown me a sample of what could be turned on the 4th axis. This is a Cheshire Cat 3D model, which is done out of PU foam on the Carvera. So I'm looking forward to doing some things like this myself once I get the machine up and running. But yeah, you can see the level of detail, and of course on 4th axis you can turn around the entire piece of material and crank out a 3D model, just like that. Pretty cool. The aforementioned clamping and toolkit, which we dug into a little bit, and they also include a bunch of materials to get you started with some experimenting inside of the machine. Plus, there's a lot of stuff related to PCB circuit board creation. Again, not something that I've really messed around with in the past. I'm more of like an Arduino plug-and-play type of guy, but maybe this will be something I get into now that I have this machine in my workshop. So next step is to get the tools loaded in and to get the power turned on. So I'm going to grab some of these tools and I'm going to load them up as per the instructions, and I'm also going to get a phone or a pad installed on the side of the machine here. So what they show you inside of the installation manual are the included tools, which you can see inside of the toolbox here, and in the order that they should be installed inside of the machine. So I'm going to begin loading these up. There's the 1/8 inch single flute bit, a 25 or 2.5 millimeter. So we come over here, there is a 1/8 single flute. Now we're looking for the 2.5. It looks like the group of these right here, the yellow ones, that may be what that is, made for plastic and wood. So I'm going to dig that out of there and plug it into the auto tool loader slot here on the side of the machine. So this is the second bit I'm loading in. This is a V-bit, and my fingers have some personal experience with this type of bit. On my old CNC machine, I made the mistake of reaching into the machine with this loaded into the head here, and I pulled my finger away quickly with some material in my hand, and I ran my fingernail into that bit and cut my finger, the fingernail straight down the middle, and that was an extremely painful experience. So these bits are crazy sharp. Anybody who works around these machines knows that, but certainly while you're loading these things into the machine, be super, super careful. All right, so I've got 4 of the potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slots filled here with the tools that I was able to find there. In the tool holding box, that's asking for a UV solder mask removal tool, which it says is optional. I wasn't able to find that, but since I'm not doing PCB manufacturing, it doesn't really matter to me anyway. I did find the the wireless probe, which you can see sat at the back of the machine here. It's in a separate box from the tools, and it also comes in its own little separate case. In fact, there are 2 of those, and that's pretty interesting. And apparently it charges in the slot there, and so the machine needs to be turned on for that to charge, which brings us to almost to the next step. Before we power it up, we're gonna set up this phone pad stand and put a phone on there, and then I guess we'll adjust the dust shoe. That's where we then get to the charging of the wireless probe, but I think to do that we're going to want to plug in some power. So let's do those steps next. This is the phone pad. It is going to attach to the side of the machine here, and it's got a little clampy grippy thing which we can stick a pad or a phone into. I'm not even sure I'm going to use this. I have a MacBook that I probably will run the software on and attach via Wi-Fi, but I'll go ahead and install this just because that completes the step. So the supplied 3mm hex does not get these screws out where you mount the little bracket, but there is another tool, Allen key supplied, which does take them out, so no worries. Again, everything is included. Pretty easy, just 2 little hex heads, and now the phone holder, tablet holder, whatever you want to stick on there is installed. Now the next step, it wants us to adjust the dust shoe. So apparently it's locked by default, and in order to use it, we need to pull out this plug and rotate it 30 degrees to make sure that it's unlocked. That way that the dust shoe can move up and down freely. So here's the piece that they're referring to in the manual. Pull that out. I rotated it, and it does seem that the dust shoe is now moving freely. So that was pretty easy. After that, it's talking about charging the wireless probe. But like I said, you need to turn the device on in order for that to happen. So over here is the supplied power cable. Let's plug that into the back of the machine. All right, well, I plugged in the power, and there is the switch. And then I'm going to be the first person in the world, I guess, to turn on a consumer version of this machine. So there we go. That is a Carvera in a workshop, powered up and alive. And I hear some buzzing and whirring. Some lights have come on. Look at that. The work surface is now moving into position. It's alive. seems like it's come to life. And we've got a blue light on the indicator here. We're going to assume for right now, because we don't know any better, that it's supposed to be like that and that it's happy. It looks happy. And yeah, it says in the manual that powering it up for the first time and leaving it on is necessary to charge the wireless probe, which you can see there has a little charging indicator light on it, and it suggests that you let it charge for 30 minutes before your first attempted use of the machine. So we're looking good. All right, we are back in the workshop with a laptop plugged in to the Carvera via the handy dandy USB cable, which they did include in the supplies that come with the machine. This is plugged into not the USB port on the side of the machine, but there is a USB-C port on the back of the machine, and then that's going to the laptop here. So out of the box, first thing you want to do is update the firmware. That is so that the control software can properly interface with the machine, and it's a pretty simple thing that's done inside the controller software. There's a menu, and you simply upload that to the machine, and then it tells you that once the upload is complete, you should turn the machine off and then on again to finish the firmware update process. Now the next thing that they tell you to do is connect the machine to the Wi-Fi. That is, I'm assuming, so that you don't need to keep the wire plugged in to the back of the machine. So you all now know my Wi-Fi password for my theater room. It's fine, it's my dog's name. And I've given it that, and it says that it's incorrect. So apparently I don't even know my own Wi-Fi password for my downstairs theater room. Let's try that again. All right, well now we are connected to the machine via Wi-Fi, and I'm going to run through one of the examples that they provide. These examples are built into the machine. I'm going to do a relief. All right, so we are now connected to the Carvera wirelessly. There is the USB cable that we were using previously, and I've loaded up one of the examples which is stored on the machine. This is for a pirate ship relief. The instructions for carving this out are contained inside the book, the manual that's included. So it says we're going to need a bit of MDF waste board and also the epoxy tooling board. These things are included inside of a materials box that comes with the machine. There's waste board, PCB, acrylic plate, aluminum plate. So we're looking for this epoxy tooling board, and we're also looking for some MDF waste board. There's the aluminum. There is some, looks like copper PCB and some double-sided tape in here. And down there on the bottom, you can see is what they refer to as waste board. This is a material that you put onto the surface inside, the work surface inside the machine here, so that if you go a bit deep in your cuts, you're not destroying this work surface inside the machine. Instead, your tooling will dig into the waste board here. So I'm going to cut this to size for this project. Board. We have a bit of the MDF waste board on the bottom here, cut to the same size as the epoxy tooling board, and so I'm going to fit these into the machine now using the supplied work brackets. The supplied brackets and fixtures, we take out an L bracket and we set it to the corner here and use the little hex driver that they included to secure that. Now there's a variety of sizes here. This L bracket is quite a bit thicker than the one that I've currently got secured to the machine, but given that this material is not very thick, I think that thinner one is what's called for here. They've also included the securing, I guess, hex head bolts. There's a shorter and then a longer version of those, again depending on how thick the material is that you're working with. And then these brackets, I'm not exactly sure what these fixtures are called, but these are what you use to hold down the work. You place them on the edge like that and then screw into the work board here. This one may not be long enough to reach, so let's go grab one of the longer ones. Clearly that's what that's for. All right, so I had to reorient that vertically here because it was not meant to be in the machine in this direction, and I also had to kind of futz around with these bolts because the longer ones on this thinner material will in fact go through, and I heard it bump inside the bottom of the machine there, so clearly you don't want that dragging around in there. So I switched to the shorter length ones and repositioned these holding fixtures so that I could reach some of the other holes that are here in the board for screwing those down. Okay, and per the instructions in the manual here, we are supposed to open the task configuration and operation dialog box, which I have done. And then we're supposed to set some offsets here. So from the work origin, we're supposed to set an X offset of 3, and we're supposed to set a Y offset also of 3. And that is relative to anchor 1, so that's going to be the position at the edge of that, the corner of that L bracket there. And then it suggests here that we do allow the Auto Z probe, and it should be set at 5.5 for the offset, which it already is, but that we should not engage auto leveling because the first part of this is a milling operation to mill the surface to a certain height. So there is no need for that automatic leveling detection. And according to the manual right now, that's about it. So we check the configuration and we click run. So here we go. This is going to be the first time of clicking run on a consumer Carvera out in the wild to run a test here and try to mill something. So here we go. It just dropped tool number 2, and I believe that it's going, well, it should be going to pick up tool number 1, but it looks like it's going to pick up the Wi-Fi, the little wireless leveling detector. So I'm not sure if we expected it to do that, since I think we turned off auto leveling. Alright, the probe is dead or not set. Confirm to unlock the machine. Well, sure, confirm. That's interesting because we did turn off auto leveling, and yet it went and tried to pick up the probe there anyway. But it looks like it's complaining that the probe is dead, although I see a little light on it. Maybe it's not attached yet. Let me run through that really quick. Okay, well, a quick look at the manual as to the wireless probe and how it is paired suggests that there is one of the probes that's sent with the materials that come with the machine is pre-paired. It's already paired with the machine, and the other one is a replacement. And of course, I didn't realize that. So this is the paired wireless probe, and guess what's in the machine right now? It is not the paired probe, so I need to swap these out. Or, better yet, instead of swapping them out, because this probe has been charged, probably the better thing to do would be to pair this probe. So there is a procedure for doing that. Open the Pairing Wireless Probe pop-up window in the Control Panel software and click Start Pairing. So I'm going to go through that process really quickly. So the way this works is that you're supposed to come in here and press on the wireless probe until a green LED inside of there, which I think you can kind of see a reflection of, until that begins to blink quickly. There it goes, it's blinking quickly now. And pairing successful, it says. Once pairing is successful, I'm guessing we can just close this and try again. So we've still got these things set. Our origins. So let's just give this another run. So it just finished the rough milling pass of the workpiece here, and it's going over to do a tool change to the V-bit, where it's then going to do a detail pass. It is creating a fair amount of chips, but I'd say that probably half of them are ending up inside of the vacuum system. The other half are ending up here inside the machine, but you know, fortunately the machine has a giant cover on it, so none of those chips are escaping into the workshop, and cleaning all that out of there with the shop vac should be relatively straightforward. Let's see how it does on this second pass. Alright, well, it is milling away over there on this pirate ship example from the book. It's saying here it's still got 4 hours to go, and so I don't know how accurate this countdown timer is for this particular job, but yeah, I'm not going to sit here for 4 hours and wait for that. So I'm going to go next door here and get to work on some other stuff, come back and check on this from time to time. Alright, it's showing now 1 hour and 20 minutes to go. I've kind of determined that this countdown timer is not terribly accurate. It's been working its way through the piece here. Alright, well, the milling operations are complete, and the machine is sitting idle. The instructions suggest that we move the machine to, I guess, some sort of home position. There we go. Although, not sure if that's home on the workpiece or if that's home over there by the tool holder, but we're about to find out. Looks like it's moving back to tool holder home, so that's good. As soon as that's finished, we can pull this piece out of there and see what it did. Alright, well, there is the finished relief. Did not take 4 hours. It didn't time it exactly, but that timer is clearly off. The estimator is off by a bit. But the final product here is really nice. Very good resolution, nice fine details. And as far as the amount of chips and dust that was created, only took a second to clean that up with the shop vac. And quite a bit of it was collected in the little container there. But I think I didn't have the dust collecting shoe down far enough for the first operation, and I think I actually should have brought it up away from the workpiece for the second, because there was a little bit of interference going on there. But all in all, did a really nice job, did it relatively quickly, and without any mess left over to really clean up. So nicely done. You can see here that the tool cleared out the around the edges here in a few places, but what's left is very, very sort of paper thin, can be pushed through with a fingernail. There is a little hacksaw that's included in the tools kit. Again, they include literally everything. So I'm going to grab that and cut the piece out of this surrounding material. Yeah, so among the things they include in the tools is this handy-dandy mini hand saw. It comes with 2 different types of blades. Alright, and there is the finished work, freed from the surrounding material with the help of the included hand saw. And again, this was a pretty good first time use, from the unboxing to the unpacking to the setting up of the software, the updating of the firmware, and cutting out this first project. This was a pretty smooth and easy path. I didn't run into very many obstacles, and the ones that I did were primarily a result of my not fully reading the instructions before I got started. But this is a very impressive machine that contains literally everything that you need to get up and running straight out of the box, and very well build quality is very good, very well put together product by the Carvera team. So thanks to those guys for making this thing a reality.